take a look at this. Some of you are likely familiar with it. It is the story of soul music as told, can I have the prompter please, as told by some of the most innovative minds in the modern music scene. FunkJazz Kafé, Diary of a Decade, covers the music event that helped launch the careers of people like CeeLo Green, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, and other popular artists we know and love today. Jason Orr is the film's director and producer. He's also the producer of FunkJazz Kafé, the event itself, and there's a screening of this movie here in town tonight. Jason, thanks for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me.
19 years of this festival, right?
Absolutely.
20th anniversary coming up.
Yeah.
There are probably a lot of people who aren't familiar with the festival itself. It started in Atlanta. Tell us a little bit about the event itself.
Well, the festival itself started out of a need to fill a gap in the cultural arts community. I was managing a band, an artist named Vinny Bernard, a guy from D.C. That moved to Atlanta. And it just opened up to various artistic disciplines, you know, people in sculpture arts, people in fashion design, people in various, you know, visual arts.
Sure.
So we put it together and we set a platform for people to come and kind of express themselves without having the backdrop of a marquee talent to come see.
Now, here's what's interesting about this to me, because you started this before a lot of these other festivals have come along in all genres of music.
Absolutely.
And it seems to me they in some way have followed the model that you said. It's a very interactive, it's music, but there's culture and other stuff going on too.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to create something that can be a good business model that people in other communities could actually imitate and use as a business model to help their arts community thrive and look at their local talents.
So it has been thriving in Atlanta. A lot of folks know about it. One of the interesting things about the concept to me is this whole idea of people coming and they don't necessarily know who they're going to see perform.
Exactly.
How do you make that work? Because most of these festivals, you got to have a big name or two to draw people to it.
Absolutely. Well, you know, the film goes into a decade where R&B, soul music as an umbrella, was being wiped out as hip-hop music was becoming pop music. So with that stage, you know, we wanted to kind of create something that we had in Atlanta, you know, a whole bunch of different artistic, creative people that were doing something other than music. And I think that applies to almost every city. Every arts community has something other than just musical talent. And then at the same time, if you could think about it, in the early 90s, Outkast was coming out. Goody Mob was coming. You know, there are so many other different people that came out of Atlanta in the tradition of R&B groups like Cameo or SOS Band. You know, Georgia, that's the home of Ray Charles, James Brown.
And the focal point of a lot of this music that we know and love today. Atlanta really has become a hub for that.
Absolutely.
So in the movie, you do follow, you see this over a period of time, and we're seeing some of the people who speak on this in the movie. It's quite a list of folks from all kinds of areas to talk about the importance of this music and what has happened through the focus of this particular festival. Tell me a little bit more about the film, what people are going to see, and what you're hoping people get from it.
Well, this film, we've been touring it for almost 2 years now, so it's an award winner. We've done a lot of film festivals, and it's a mind blower too, because, you know, in terms of music culture, you've never seen a arts and music festival or a Lollapalooza or a Coachella type festival, especially with African Americans pretty much populating it, going almost 20 years without announcing the talent. That one thing is phenomenal to see, because that's not happened in the history of this planet.
Right.
So you also have the elders talking about what happened from the 60s up to now. How did we get to this place we are now musically? How did we come from a plethora of bands to almost none?
I mentioned all these people, CeeLo Green, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, we love Jill Scott, and many others. So some of their first big breaks came from this festival. People, they were on the bill and they were, at least to some extent, not that widely known, correct?
Well, you know, in the early 90s, there was a category called neo-soul.
Neo-soul.
And once again, that was, in the movie it's discussed that it kind of prohibited the growth of black music, where R&B was going. Do we have a platform now where a new Stevie Wonder can be introduced, where just the plethora of beautiful music and styles included on one compilation of music. So that was what we wanted to preserve at FunkJazz Kafé Arts and Music Festival. So those artists actually recognized that and came and participated. They may had a single or may have already been out in the commercial market, but this was the place for you to really be celebrated.
It looks like a great movie. You have your chance to see the movie tonight. It is showing here at the Howard Theater, and this is open to the public, correct?
Absolutely.
$15. Movie screening is at 8 p.m. I want to make sure I've got that right because it's hard to read that there. I'm sorry, showtime 7:30, doors open at 6 p.m. And then there's going to be a Q&A afterwards?
Absolutely.
Yeah, very good. All right. And then where does the movie go from here? You're touring it for 2 years. Does it go into wide release at some point?
Yeah, there's a bunch of options. You can go into wide release, you can go video on demand, Netflix. There's a lot of different options there. We're actually screening all the way up to 2014.
Gotcha.
And, you know, July
20th
13th.
anniversary.
Yeah, up to the 20th anniversary. And we're going to have the festival, FunkJazz Kafé Arts and Music Festival, July 13th this summer in Atlanta.
Makes sense. There you go.
Absolutely.
All right, Jason Orr, thanks for coming in to talk about it. We do appreciate it. Good to have you here.